Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Conversations on Conversations, where each week we explore a topic or topics to help us have more powerful conversations with ourselves and others. I'm your host, Sarah Noll Wilson, and joining me back is my dear friend, mentor, person who inspires me in doing this work, Paul Ruiz. Paul helps leaders in times of growth, change, and uncertainty. He uses approaches from human-centered design tools and methods, leadership agility, conversational intelligence, and narrative coaching technologies, among many other of his skills. His work is his passion, as you will hear in our conversation. For fun and well-being, he cooks, practices yoga, and plays golf. His joy is his wife, Janise, and their teenage sons, Luc and Franco. He believes that we need to develop our edge, drive ourselves and others for the best life outcomes, but not to lose our souls in the process. So welcome back to the show, Paul.
It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me once again. You guys are awesome. I'm a huge fan. I can't wait to get this conversation going, and I'm so happy to be here. This is exactly where I want to be at this moment.
I love that. We had somebody, Alexis Hasselberger, on the show a few weeks ago, and her definition of productivity was doing exactly what you intend to do. And I love that definition. So I love that you intend to be here and we're going to be together in conversation. One of the things that I want listeners to know about your work, in addition to the bio that we read, is that you are working with teams from a global perspective, and similar to our work, have a huge focus on relationships and conversations. And I'm curious to get your reaction to a conversation that's been coming up a lot with the conversations we're having with clients recently. So just even today, just this morning, I was talking with a president of a construction company who basically was saying, if you are not figuring out how to focus more on people, you are going to be left behind, especially if you're in an industry that is competitive, has labor shortages. If you are not making that shift to focusing on taking care of your people, you're not going to survive. And I thought it was so interesting to hear that from an industry that's typically pretty tough, right? Can be a little rough around the edges. So I'm curious, what are you seeing, observing in your neck of the world? And let's start there.
Thank you so much. The year that passed, actually, I was able to work with rework again with because I was working for them during the pandemic. This energy company, right? Exactly similar to what you were talking about. A room full of technicians, engineers, and they work offshore rigs. You know, a world that is dangerous, a world that is typified by compliance, rules, to the letter stuff, right? And but they're being run by this fantastic woman, a CEO. She broke the glass ceiling, so to speak, too, in this part of the world, because it's a typically male-dominated industry, and less about that, but more about what the strategy of the company is. And one of the main pillars of the strategy is really people. They really call it a people win, right? So winning on people is vital right now. We hear about it a lot. It's not soft. It's integral to strategy. It's now is the put your money where your mouth is time. Really, and it's less about ping pong tables or, free food. It's really about shifting work, shifting leaders, shifting thinking. We love to talk about putting people at the forefront, but what are you willing to say no to now? So this is what I've been hearing a lot. This is the struggle. And it's okay to call it a struggle. It is a struggle. You got a room full of leaders who are really trying to become better human beings. And at the same time, their companies are just asking for more because, Some companies are riding the wave. Some companies are at the verge of extinction. And being human right now is tough. But it's also fun, right? It's tough, it's fun, it's exhilarating. Surviving the day is like giving you a high that you've never experienced before. So yeah, it's so true. It's real. It's real.
Yeah. It's interesting that you use the language of it's a struggle to put people first. Because one of the things that I was going to say that I've observed, but if I'm being totally honest, even as somebody who has a goal, it's my life's mission to create a company for humans. One of my struggles is pushing against everything I was taught about what it looks like to build a company, what it looks like to lead people. And so you have these people who are like highly technically skilled, who probably many of them were raised, quote unquote, in a culture where you don't build relationships with your team members. They're your quote unquote subordinates, right? Which I don't like that term. And I'm curious, what are some of the other struggles that you see or that people might not even realize, right? Like, let's add the struggle of if you were raised to view vulnerability and emotions as a weakness, that's going to be a challenge in trying to build deeper connections with the people you serve and support. So I'm curious to just have you tease out the struggles that you see as companies try to adopt a more human-centered approach, or as leaders are trying to show up more for their people in a way that they did before.
Oh, I will tease it out. I will go deep very fast. You mentioned it twice already, and that's exactly it. The word is raised. We were raised differently. We saw our history, the set range of all the leaders. I'm 55 this year in November. Last we talked, I was saying I was about to celebrate the 20th year of my practice. That happened last year. Why am I saying that? That's not to flex. It's just that we age, right? And so a lot of people who are leading right now, typically, they're of certain age, right? And that has something to do with how we think, because how we think is in effect just really based on what we've experienced. Everything else in front of us is new. So if I was raised professionally, if I was raised towards metrics, KPI, key result area, the human element there was really, something like, and by the way, you have snacks, right? That's how I was raised, right? So that's how I was.
If at all.
Yes, if at all, right? If at all. And then you come home and, God bless them, our parents, mine have passed, but you come home and they tell you, right? It's okay that you struggle. It's okay that, that you're being talked to that way. It's okay that the boss is treating you. It's okay. Be happy that you have a job. So that whole past thing needs to be forgiven as well, and that's the crux of the struggle. The struggle is that I too am human, and therefore, so if I'm trying to become empathetic, I gotta be clean, man. I have to be very clean, right? I have to be very clean inside, and if I'm having a bad day myself, I'm not open. I have a recurring memory. Now more than ever, right? Trauma is super cool, right? It's like the topic du jour. It's like, okay, what triggers you, right?
Yeah.
And you have leadership teams who would say, well, you remind me of in my past life. It's like as if they were resurrected. It's really just their last job, but they're referring it to the past life. So that is the struggle for me. The struggle is that the human workplace is being led by people too. And and it's hard. It's hard to become vulnerable. It's hard to be open. It's hard to quiet down that pesky voice inside your head. It's really tough.
Yeah, it's I don't know what it was about your language of clean that just made me giggle a little bit, but
yeah,
but
you have to come in
true.
clean.
And,
it's a struggle, right? To be honest.
Yeah, it's in being imperfect. It's owning right your mistakes. It's I had this really lovely conversation. It was a CEO of a multi kind of insurance firm, right? Brokers, and they're based in the UK. And one of the things he said, and I loved his language, was I'm trying really hard to not only increase my capacity, but to be really intentional about it. And when he talked about and defined capacity, it wasn't capacity to do more work and to be more productive. It was, he's like, I know that if I give all of my capacity at work, then I don't have any capacity for my son. I know that if I give up all of my capacity and I am tired and not taking care of my body, or I'm, stressed or frustrated, that when a team member brings a problem, I'm just going to try to solve it instead of coaching them through it. And I loved this idea of how do I create capacity so that I can show up whole, healthy, and have the space when team members are bringing challenges to the plate. And that's what was coming up for me as you were talking and that's work. And it's hard because we all are going to have times when we're tired, when we're stressed, maybe we have mental health challenges, maybe we're dealing with, I don't know, my day to day is, lo and behold, we woke up and we have to get a new furnace and wasn't planning on that happening and wasn't planning. You probably don't have furnace. Do you have furnaces in your neck of the woods? Do you have any idea what those cost?
Of course. Of course we do.
And that requires us to be in relationship with ourselves. And that can be real scary for folks.
You coined it as capacity. It is the workout now. That's the first question usually, right? Where are you? What's your energy? Before when we were coaching, right? Like 5 years ago, what's the question? What's your problem? What's the issue? Now it's not.
Yeah.
It's you. I have to first work with you. Sometimes for example, my typical session is like an hour and a half, right? An hour is just too short. But it can be really super short when the person I'm helping, the leader, the CEO, and that's my world right now. The world brought me there. It was never my plan. I told you this before. I just accidentally, dropped into their worlds, and so far we're okay. But when we meet, right, the typical go-to right now is, how was your sleep? Tell me about your sleep. How many hours? What was your dreams like? And then, okay, what's going through your head? What do you want to work on today? Who do you want to work on today? And guess what? 8 out of 10 times, the answer would be me. I have something to talk about me, right? Me, because I'm preparing for this big presentation. I'm going towards a budget arbitration, and I'm triggered, I'm terrified, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and I want to have the capacity. And oh, by the way, it's my daughter's birthday, and I don't want to come home that guy, right? So that's that sample that you said, that conversation, that's on all over right now. Here, Philippines, Southeast Asia, we're like 20,000 kilometers apart. It's on. The world shrunk. The world shrunk. We're experiencing very same situation.
It's so. Well, there's two thoughts that are coming up for me. It's been consistent with anyone we're talking to, is a rethinking of the role of work in your life when you have the privilege to be able to make that, but also a demanding, if you will, of being treated better, or not tolerating if you're not being treated well. Like, there is a seismic shift seismic shift that's happening. And it's not just, sometimes I hear people say, oh, it's the younger generation, they're really driving it. And there certainly are things from different ages that are driving different things. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a middle-aged woman. I'm trying to drive it too. You know, but I want to, there was something you said, and that's why I always love being in conversation with you, Paul, because there's something so poetic about your language. And I wrote it down and underlined it, is I have to work with you first. It's not about the task. It's not about, what's the problem we're going to solve?
Yes.
But it's you, Paul, it's me, Sarah, it's you, whoever your team member is that you serve and support. It's your colleague, it's your client, it's your spouse, it's your family member, it's your friend. Like, I am with you. And there's something I really love, that language of first it's about us before. And so often the thing we see, and I know you see it too, is there's like little to no time spent on the relationship until there's a problem. And by then, sometimes it can be too late.
Let's give it away, Sarah. RBT, relationship before tasks, ladies and gentlemen, to all the audience. This is
is this your acronym?
Yes, this is the hack. She just read my mind. It's called RBT. If you're gonna go something very complex, you're gonna change the whole business model. You're going to go into a marketplace. You're going to close the company. You're gonna open the company. Whatever it is you plan to do, you better be working with people you understand, enjoy. You don't have to be best friends.
Yeah,
love is a bonus. But you know what I mean? Because I hear that a lot. I don't know in the US. In the Philippines, there's this cliche, let's treat each other like family, like that. And then, of course, in my head, it's like, you should meet my sister. I'll treat you like family. She's gonna talk down on you, and then she's gonna, So even,
not everyone likes their family.
Indeed, and it's really humorous. But if relationship is not the strategy at the beginning, it's doomed. I'm sorry. This is my observation. I didn't really read it. I just observed it. I heard it. I saw it. I did not figure it out. But now, always in hindsight, now I see, okay, the ones who succeeded, the ones who were exponential, the ones who survived, it's like, worn out. They call it thrive, right? Everybody's trying to thrive. Everybody's trying to thrive. That's cool. All good. However, the secret, the common thread at the beginning of the show you mentioned is that, one, they're trying to be human beings, and two, they really made investments in relationship. And I'm not talking about, buying stuff. It's really time.
Yeah.
It's about self-sacrifice. It's about I sound like a broken record. It's really about going through the withdrawal of me. I have to let go of the stuff that I'm so addicted to. It's withdrawing from that is wow. And it's like, and anybody who has gone through any kind of program knows what I mean. It's like, it's physical. It's very somatic. You feel it in your feet. It's in your head. It's painful. You feel nauseous. Why? Because I want to say something, but I shouldn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
it's the withdrawal of me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I have to withdraw.
Yeah. It's God, there's a lot to kind of untangle in that. And that point you make is, it's not in the transactional exchanges, right? Like you said, it's not, it's in being seen. It's in people feeling valuable and valued. It's in people being protected. It's in people, we had this really beautiful moment recently on our team. And my colleague, Dr. Teresa Peterson, said, I love that. I can tell everyone on this team, I'm having a bit of an emotional spiral this week, and I think it's going to be with me another week or two because of everything I know that's coming up.
Beautiful.
And she's like, I love the fact that not a single person judged me for it. Nobody was taking notes on it. There was all this like just an awareness of, hey, what do you need? We got you. And it seems so simple to say that, but it can be so hard. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the components of why that's necessary. But I want to go back to your point of, because we're seeing the same thing 100% of the time. The companies and the teams that do really, really well, there is a high, and when I say well, let's define this. Well isn't just financially. It's where people feel really good about it. It's where people feel good about how they're working. It's that they're engaged, right? Like it isn't just because, one of my little Sarah-isms is you can be productive and also destructive. Let's be very clear about that.
Yep.
But you said doomed. And when we were on a little technical break, we got to talking about it is a strategic risk.
Oh, yeah.
There is a risk if you are not prioritizing people, especially now. And I want to go back to that because you were saying such great stuff that I want to bring that back into the conversation.
Yeah, one of the teams that I'm serving right now, that's their main business, right? And they provide the biggest, most comprehensive global risk report. And number 3, if I'm not mistaken, I'm certain it's in the 5, but number 3 is people risk. Can you believe that? Third only to climate and political unrest and what's going on all over the world, right? People. And when you deep dive into people risk, this is exactly the point. Exactly what we're talking about. Are we able to engage in a manner that it's not about retention? I was just about to say keep, and I caught myself. It's not about keeping them. It's really about are we able to work with people that treats them well so that they become better for the planet, right? So it's kind of deep, right? It's like, okay, what are you on this time, coach? So it's really about do they contribute? That's why if you listen to the past 2 anecdotes that we shared, right? The leader will always ask, how come I am not showing up at home? What's eating me?
Yeah.
Right? What's eating the reserves? And they're always asking themselves, and it doesn't matter if you're a mom or you're a dad or you're a single or it's a partner. It really doesn't matter. Everybody values what they become, who they become when they leave the workplace, and therefore, our accountability as leaders is really to. You can't really take it away, but you really have to talk about mitigating that kind of risk, that kind of exposure. When they leave the workplace, do they become, automatons? They're like, zombies, and then they really have to take a drink before they rest, or do they become energized, and then they become loving, and then they still have time for family, community, play, man. The happiest place in the world, Finland, they pay the employee to play. I pay you to play. Bring me to Finland, right?
We got to get some clients over there, Paul.
Yeah, indeed. That's the plan. I hope somebody there hears us. Because
we do have listeners there. So, Paul and I will work for a discount if you hire us both together.
Yes, we will find a way to get there. And that's it. And it's institutional, right? It's institutional.
Yeah. Well, it's, it's when you view people as disposable, when you view them as an inconvenience, you minimize the impact that they really have. I mean, let's be real. If you're the person who cares about the bottom line, not taking care of your people impacts the bottom line eventually. And that was one of the things we were talking about when Teresa was sharing this observation is that's a strategy, right? Like a way to be strategic in your quote unquote productivity is to let people have the space when they need the space to navigate life's things. Trust that when you take care of them and they have the energy, they're going to give you even more. And it was just, it's something we've been chewing on a lot. And so, okay, so that brings me to one of the points I want to make sure we talk about. And this certainly was very much alive and present before the pandemic, and we're still hearing it. Although I will say that it is becoming less talked about, but it's still very present. This idea of you got to leave emotions out of it. Don't take things personally. Leave it at the door. People pride themselves. Like I think about how many folks who have told me, I'm not an emotional person. And my joking, loving response is always, which emotions don't you feel? Do you not feel joy? Oh, no, you feel joy, right? Like there's this badge of honor and this minimizing and dismissing of emotions in the workplace. And I don't even know what my question is, to be honest.
But I hear
but
it.
It's so
okay.
it's so problematic. So I'm curious,
clear.
What's coming up for you?
Yeah,
okay.
you're very clear. The question really is, does it make sense, right? The question is,
gosh,
right?
Paul.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Does the question of emotion make sense? So, well, my answer, of course, is always, you're in business because you want to make money. It makes so much business sense to put emotion in the workplace because it is inherent in my best talent. They cannot get away from it. It's part of them. So I'll be very, very careful here, but I think we have a global safe space here. So, it's very far between. I'll probably talk to you in 2026. So, I'll say it already. If I can't deal with the whole of you, then I'm shortchanged as a company. If I negate that, if I delete that, then I'm only paying for, a fraction of who you are. I need you to be there, the loving you, the painful you, the tragic you, the disappointed you, the confused you, the sick you, and the well you. It has to be whole because I pay for everything, right? So it just makes so much business sense to really have emotions as normal, right? It's normal. The branding of, oh, she's emotional, oh, he's emotional.
Yeah.
These are all, old elephants, right? To quote your book, right? These are very old elephants. I'm really sorry. I apologize to all the chairman of the board that I work for who are past 60. I don't mean you guys. So, but I mean,
it's and I would say old not just in age, but old in mindset.
Yes,
right?
it is a rigid belief that needs to be released, right? It is a belief. And there's so much sources. We don't blame anyone. It's just there. It was just there. It's part of this. It's like it's a 3-hour conversation to talk about where that came from. That rigid belief that don't take it personally. So my translate. You're a very kind person, and I think I'm just aging. My translation of "don't take it personally" is "be dead." Just be dead.
Holy
so when
moly.
somebody,
God,
when I hear that,
I love you.
When I hear that, it's like, I hope you're dead just for a few minutes, okay? So what I'm about to tell you is I'm changing your role, and are you alive again? Are you ready to accept the pain? It's like, it's insane, right? So you can't. To not be emotional is dead, right? That's why we need to quiet down. You need to understand the brain. This is where we met, right? The conversation comes from the brain.
Yeah.
You have an idea. You have something to say about it. It's typically said inside first. But most importantly, the brain will generate a feeling because your heart is part of your brain. So to say that emotions have no place at work is just it doesn't make business sense to me. It's not anymore about the soft leader, or it's just it doesn't. The science doesn't support it.
Yeah, the science, the research, the anecdotal, the the formal research, it doesn't support it. I'm going to quote you so much now.
Be dead, right? Be dead. Wow.
Be dead.
Really?
I mean, that's the thing. And people will they've just convinced themselves. And the thing that's always been so funny to me is that the people who say leave emotions out of work, they say it with so much anger.
Yeah.
Like there's so much emotion behind how they say it. You know what I mean? And it's well, you can't take things personally.
Why are you so emotional like that, right?
Right. I think you just took it personally that I told you should take it personally, and that's okay. And let's actually talk about regulating emotions. But the whole okay, when we say don't take it personally, we're asking you to be dead for just a few moments.
It's not.
Is so
it's unreal.
Brilliant.
It's unreal.
Yeah. Like don't shut off your brain, shut off your heart, shut off shut off everything until I do this.
Right.
And then come back online.
Yeah.
And now let's move forward and be productive.
Right.
God, I love you so much.
Just bring the part that serves me, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
And also I think it's an interesting, I think your argument I've never heard the argument like you said it of if you want to view it as I'm paying for your time means I'm paying for all of you.
All of you. When you're on me, I want all of you, man. Right?
Yeah. And if you want the best of me, that's what it is. If you want the best of me, then it's taking care of all of me.
Sure. And it's not a license to hurt others too, right? It's not a license to, Susan David calls it thought blaming, right? It's like, I shouted at you because I had a bad day. That's not true. You shouted at me because you wanted to shout at me. Your bad day had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's also not a license. And I think that boils down to fear, right? It's fear. That's why the leaders say don't be emotional, because I don't know how to respond to honesty. I've been struggling with it, and therefore, so the leaders who actually thrive right now are the ones who have come to peace with themselves. They don't overcomplicate it. They come to peace. They reflect a lot. Working out on self has become their priority, and it's anything, right? There's no prescription, and it really doesn't matter what serves you. Then that's great. Walks in the park, whatever, good food, you want to eat less, you want to sleep more, you want to meditate, you want to pray. You don't want to meditate, you don't want to pray, you want to swim, whatever it is that serves you, it really doesn't matter. But most importantly is they know they bring themselves full. Yeah.
And I know I've said this on other shows, and I know I actually feel like I probably say this at least 3 to 4 times a week. And I think for a lot of folks, they don't even know what it looks like to not only work on themselves, but they don't know what's possible on the other side of it. Again, depending on how you were raised, personally, professionally, depending on the world around you. And there is this, you hit the nail on the head with this fear of, I don't know how to show up with this. It's something we've been talking about a lot is when we see a leader who's showing up differently from the norm, right? And I'll just speak from an American white male dominant norm perspective, right? That very aggressive command and control style. And when a leader is successful and they're not like that, you can feel the threat to the identity that person makes, right? And what's so unfortunate, and honestly, what makes me sad and also what drives me in this work is there's just so much to be gained in life when you're able to show up and be, to use your language, at peace with yourself and to create the space to be whole with someone else. I'm still on that journey. I wasn't raised like this, right? This has been an evolution. And my life is richer. My relationships are incredible because of of the intentionality. And so part of it is I feel a tremendous amount of not pity. It's not pity. I just feel sadness because there's just so much more humanity we can experience when we're able to step into that space of being vulnerable with ourselves and vulnerable with others.
I honor that sadness very much. It is really a dual thing, right? You get so sad, but it's also your inspiration. When you see it, you're energized to help. You feel privileged. You also feel very abundant in the morning. Nothing else to say. My reflection on what you just beautifully said is about really enjoy. You have to enjoy it, right? It's so fun. It's so fun to use your brain for complex problems, right? It's so fun to actually. It's so fun. I don't know, right? I mean, just the other day I was talking to one of the CEOs that I'm serving, and we both decided that we're not going to retire, right? We're not going to retire. This whole concept of we need to end this. This is fun, right? I want to be told that, or I just want to. I can't remember things anymore. Okay, bye bye. That's the end for me. Or but I'm not gonna stop, right? I mean, I'm not gonna get ahead of it because biology, our system was built for that, right? We were created, in a very, very unique sense to have a brain. That brain is amazing. It's like it invented this capacity for two people to talk across 18,000, 20,000 kilometers and make sense, right? Human beings made this, by the way, this everything, glitches and all. Human beings made this happen. And it's wonderful, right? It's wonderful.
When we talk about showing up in a more human way, when we talk about honoring emotions, when we talk about seeing people and being with people, one of the areas, and I know this is a topic we could do multiple episodes on, but I'm curious to get some thoughts, is knowing that the work of people means there will be moments of hurt. There will be moments of regrettable events. There will be moments when we're tired. There will be moments when we don't realize what we said landed wrong. Like in my head, I'm already playing back like, oh, I want to be clear. The reason I asked if you had furnaces wasn't because I didn't think you had I don't know, like living in Iowa, sometimes people think we don't have all the amenities of others. But I was like, you're a tropical island. Do you even need a heater? I don't know. Like that was just a legit question. But like you replay things and you go, well, I didn't mean for this to come out this way. And maybe I unintendedly did it. That part of one of the most important things that I've learned and am learning is the importance and power of repairing when those moments happen, because it's not if, it's when. And so I'm just curious to, what does it look like, or what are things for people to think about when we don't show up at our best? And you've already kind of listed off a couple of things, right? Like the thought problem, like, oh, I'm sorry I yelled at you because I was having a bad day. Like that's not it. That's a skill that I've had to work on and still work on, is repairing, whether it was intentional harm or not. And it is a skill I see many people struggle with, especially in the workplace.
The concept of repair is like vital competency right now. You must know how to do it well. It's like you can't be agile without knowing how to repair, right? And we talk about agile as if it's the easiest thing in the book, right? Most of us are right. Are you, what are you? Ambidextrous or left-handed, right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Right? So I'm right-handed too, right? So I can do some stuff that are by nature with my left. But to do it all together, juggle balls, whatever, it's tough, right? To sync it with my brain. And I always like to think of my body when it comes to that. So repair, when I drop some balls, right? Or when you're right. No, I don't think anyone in their right mind. And be very careful. I don't know if right mind is still politically correct nowadays, but no one in their right mind would want to hurt somebody else. I still believe that, that people were born with love and compassion, and therefore the problem is they went to school, they grew up, and they became part of the human experience. But they're filled with love, right? So nobody really wants to hurt somebody else, but it does hurt, right? It does hurt to see and witness somebody else's emotion, to receive the anger, to witness the distrust, to hear language that was said in a good tone. However, it kind of opened up a memory, and then, it's that ratatouille moment. You remember, the leader is talking, but I'm actually seeing my mom, right? And it's like, this is hurting me big time. And then, so repair is very critical. Repair is very important. Apologizing in a manner that is not gaslighting is vital right now, right? I was studying that, deep diving into that a few weeks back, because we had a situation about it in one of the groups that I served. It's like, Coach, I really appreciated the way he apologized to me, because afterwards I really felt bad about myself. It's like, okay. And then what happened? It's like, apparently it's my fault. So
yeah, that's a fake apology. Yeah, I'm sorry you took it that way.
Yeah, I'm really sorry you took it that way. I'm sorry I caught you at a bad mood.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry you misunderstood me.
Yeah, I didn't see you. There was no "I'm dead" sign. Yeah. So sorry about that. So it does happen. I hope I'm not sounding sarcastic to the audiences, but it does feel that way to the people that we serve. And I'm speaking this way because I think now we need to hold space very well. We hear that a lot. All the great coaches are masterful at it. And the leaders need to be that. It's not about, you cannot outsource that. I mean, we're not going to lose jobs because of what we said, Sarah. You have to know how to hold space and meet people where they are. They cannot be where you want them to be at the moment that you are holding space. It just doesn't make sense. So you need to meet people where they are. You need to be very compassionate to yourself as well in terms of your impatience. You also know when to drop it. Sometimes you just have to drop it. Come back another day. It really is that way. But there is some sort of practice. Therefore, as often as I can, I would. I think the whole science of feedback has been reinvented around these things that we are talking about.
Yeah.
Before, feedback giving was really all about performance, repetition, not do. Now it's not. It's feelings, right? It's feelings.
Yeah.
What came up? What came up for you? This is what I'm feeling because of how we interacted. So the feedback has become like that. That's a good sign, but you're right. The leader, a lot of the leaders, when it becomes so uncomfortable, they just really relapse big time. And when they relapse big time, just like you and me, when we relapse big time, and it's not nice to look at, it's not nice to hear. So we repair, right? We repair, we apologize, we talk to, I do that, and she's not gonna get angry at me for saying this. To my wife, I do that constantly because, I can be this brilliant listener at work, but I'm a dinosaur the moment I come here. I become like a velociraptor, instinctive, and like I hiss a lot and I feel very entitled as a man. But I've grown, I've grown. She's helped me. She's before it was all about who you need to be for me. Now it's not. It's like, I'm so happy you are exactly the opposite of who I am, because now I am growing and I look forward to death because you are the one who will bring me there.
No.
I did
So
say I
beautifully
love you to
said.
my wife, right? In not so many words, right? I did, right?
Yeah.
On your
yeah,
show. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you did. Yeah.
Okay.
Just so
Okay.
you know.
Okay. 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 Just making sure.
Well, I mean, I applaud you for even being able to recognize like entitlement and right, like, and who do you need to be for me? And I think many of us like have moments of struggling with that, but some are more socially conditioned than others. But that this is something Nick and I have been working on for the last few years, is trying to be really intentional about those repair moments when one of us loses our cool or one of us gets tired. And again, it's not the, oh, I'm sorry, I'm tired. It was, I'm really sorry. Like you don't deserve for me to treat you like that or to experience that. Like, and also getting, part of repair that I've learned for myself is sometimes if people would apologize to me about something, my discomfort was like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Instead of honoring it and saying thank you, like I really appreciate that you said that. That means a lot to me. And even that side of repair, receiving a repair, right? And or do I feel like I need to get a last word in, or do I feel like, or am I apologizing because I want you to apologize? And I'm like, you're not really apologizing then if you're trying to like get them. And that's something that. That's definitely something that I learned through our work with Judith and the conversational intelligence work is you have to own your role.
It's me.
What's the role you played? It's me.
It's me.
Right? It's this, I did this.
Yep.
And that can, I know there have been times where I feel like I have to physically choke down my ego and go, this is on me. And I am really, really sorry that I showed up this way, and that was the impact that I made on you.
It's less about self-care. It's really more about performing in life. I need to be able to forgive myself first and foremost. I gotta forgive myself, right? I gotta forgive myself. I'm not a bad human being, right? I'm not evil, right? But I do have memories. I do have bad habits. I do have bad frequencies too. So that's the first thing I need to forgive, because it's so difficult to forgive others or to tender apologies that are meant and sincere and deep if I have some resentment to self. So I'll work. Yeah. So I go back to that. I have to work on myself, and this is a lot of times when we are working with. I'm sure you get this a lot when we're working with the person who's the absolute accountability, right? That's the first thing. It's and especially when they go open, when they become open to life, when they become open, their souls become open. The world does come in and rush in. They become guilty. They feel very tired. And then therefore they're. And then suddenly you'll notice that the conversation is about, why did I do this? Why did I do that? Why didn't I? Well, I should have, could have, would have, right? So. But in reality, the first step is, right, you just notice it. Notice. Step one, notice it. Okay, that's not working. 2, I got to forgive myself. Part of it is accepting my accountability to what happened. But I gotta do it with pragmatism. I love, since you made me a little bit sentimental when you mentioned her name. In CIQ, we called it candor with care, right? So I need to be very candid, but I need to be very loving. This for me is the bomb. To be able to really do that well. It's been 16 years. It's 2016, right? How many years? 8 years? Almost 8 years since we learned.
Almost 8 years.
And it's deeply embedded. It's way ahead of its time. Nobody knew that the pandemic would make it so relevant. So if I can accept your space and also forgive me, it's a good apology. It's a good repair. And it's a repair that will become long-lasting. Therefore, repairs happen far between because there's growth. Because that's what I hear a lot. I don't know if you hear it a lot, Sarah. The CEO will tell me, she would say, do I really have to say sorry again?
Yeah.
I said,
Or
no.
like, or
I said, no. All you need to do is stop doing it.
well, it's interesting because I they'll talk about people will ask me like, is there a time limit on feedback? And I'll say there's no time limit on good feedback. There's no time limit on praise. I think there is a time limit if you're giving somebody constructive feedback. And what I mean by this is if you come to me 6 months later and say, you know what, for the last 6 months I've noticed this, I'm going to sit there and go, why the hell didn't you tell me this sooner? Right. But somebody had asked me like, this happened last week. Did I miss out on my window to apologize? And I was like, there's no time limit for that.
Yeah.
In fact, I would argue that you coming back to that person and saying, I've been really thinking about this conversation.
There you go. Yep.
And I didn't like how it happened, and I didn't like how I showed up. And I just want to let you know how sorry I am.
There you go.
Like, yep. You taking the time and coming back, even if maybe it wasn't that big of a deal to them, right? It shows that you were reflecting. It shows that you were willing to take ownership. And so I'm like, there's no time limit on that. Even if I have, and I don't know. I mean, I have moments like that in my relationship with Nick. Nick and I have been together almost 24 years. So there's stuff that happened early in our relationship that is like, yes, I'm a different person. I feel that way towards my parents now. Right. And it's not, I'm not looking for forgiveness, and I'm not beating myself up. I'm just taking ownership for that was hard on you in a way I didn't recognize at the time. And just like, I'm really glad where we're at now. But I think that idea of following up and repairing it, and the thing for me is the more people I have in my life who show up intentionally, even if it's people like you, Paul, that I only get to interact with, although I need to change that, 2 years is just too damn long, is that it almost always deepens the relationship even further, right? Not just the apology, but the ability for us to be candid with each other through that lens of care, that ability for us to have those hard conversations, the ability for us to witness each other's humanity. Almost always when that repair comes from a deep, authentic place. And that's been my experience, is it's almost always deepened the relationship further. Yeah. And
you that last 5-10 minutes, what you did was you just transcended repair to healing. It becomes healing now, right? So it's transcripted. So you've just defined how to bring repair to a higher level of humanity, which is called healing one another, right? It's so, because it is repair, right? It is repair, right?
Yeah.
Just the word itself, right? Let's come together again. Repair, right? Let's come together again. Let's sew the wound. Let's close the gap, right? Repair. But what you just said about allowing time, allowing reflection, being very intentional, deep thought, practice, writing it down, not because for theatrics, but because I want to say the right thing. I want to make up. I want to make amends. I want to show love. This is healing. What you just did is you elevated repair into something very, there is no other description but deep. It is very deep. It is deep. It is lasting. It creates roots. We use that a lot in strategy, right? It's called foundational, right? It becomes now foundation for complex things. So repair in the context of relationship before task. That's solid. That's like, okay, so we can actually go through this, right? That's essentially what you're telling one another. Let's go through this very hard pivot. Let's go through this very hard market shift. Let's go through this very complex project together, because I'm safe with you, man. I can get hurt and then you know how to repair, and I can do the same. I grow from you, you grow from me. What do you call that? We essentially repaired and healed. So yeah, I mean, thanks. You were giving me a little bit of a teary eye when you were talking about it, because that's the tough part.
Well,
that's the part where the struggle resides.
Yeah. Paul, I was this years old today in looking at the word repair differently because of you.
Me too. I just thought about that now because of you.
I love being in conversation with you, and I want to just keep talking to you forever, and I can't because I need to let you get on with your day. But we're going to have you back, and it's not going to be 2 years. And just know I'm going to be reaching out to you to, I don't know. I just need my Paul mentor time in.
We can shoot the breeze and just.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I definitely want to do that and just catch up. But okay. Well, we have audience listening right now, so we can talk about this afterwards.
But this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is us shooting the breeze. So what I just said has no difference. it's just true, unrecorded.
It's true. it's just us. I feel like this beautiful place of wrapping up of like we repair to heal is so beautiful and profound. And I guess I just let me turn it over to you. Just, what final thoughts do you have as we wrap up our conversation that you want to say to feel complete?
I will address the audience very directly. You are complete. You're perfect. Exactly everything you need is there. Everything is there. You are whole. You're beautiful. You are a being. You are human. You are alive. You are also not perfect. There's nothing lost in forgiveness. Everything is gained. You grow. You grow big time. You grow big time. You grow. Growth is about a struggle. It's about breaking ground. It's rooting, right? So, just work on it. Work on yourself. Love yourself. You gotta celebrate the wins. Celebrate big time. If you can just have an inverse investment in time on blaming yourself to celebrating, love and life becomes one. Thank you, both of you, Nick, Sarah, the show. To everybody, please don't feed the elephants. Thanks
for plugging my book.
Yes, just be kind to one another, and those conversations become really rich and deep.
I love it. I love you, Paul. For people who want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Same. So Leaders in Transition with Paul Ruiz, .ph. You can just Google my name. I'm from the Philippines.
And we'll share it in the show notes.
Yes, I'll share it in the show notes. All of my social media. I'm on Instagram, but I'm not really on social media so much intentionally. To be honest to everybody, to just really be absolutely honest to all of you, I've really relished human interaction. I've grown so in love being with people, and it doesn't mean I have to be face to face. It can be virtually, but I really just love to be with people, and then I just love to press the repeat button the next day.
Yeah. I love it. You're such a gift. Thank you so much for being willing to come on the show and your, our flexibility together and navigating. Oh, trust me. I feel like it's all on ours. We're recording this, folks. My time is 5:30 on a Friday night. And there's not many people that I would be like, yep, let's do a Friday night. I was so excited today.
Happy hour.
It was happy hour with Paul. I was like, it is healthy healing hour with Paul.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful that you came back, and just thank you for being you. And that's it. Thanks for being on the show, Paul.
You're most welcome. You and Nick are a gift. I love you both.
Our guest this week was my friend and mentor, Paul Ruiz. And 2 things, 3 things. I'm looking at my list. RBT, relationships before tasks. That's just brilliant. Love is a bonus. Love that idea. But the thing that I'm really going to chew on was that insight of literally the word repair is to repair. Like, how do we get back to being a pair again? I just think that's so brilliant. And as always, folks, near and far, we do love to hear from you. And we've just really enjoyed the emails we've been getting recently. So please send us an email at podcast@sarahnollwilson.com. Again, that's podcast@sarahnollwilson.com. Let us know what resonated for you, what came up for you, what questions do you have, what opened up for you. And again, we love it. We read it, we respond to it, and we want to hear from you. If you like the show, please be sure to rate and review and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform. The more ratings and reviews we get, the more we're able to get exposure and bring on great guests like Paul Ruiz. And if you want to become a supporter of the show, you can do so by becoming a patron. You can go to patreon.com/conversations on conversations, where 100% of your financial support goes to supporting the team that makes this happen. So a couple of cool things that happen. Not only are you supporting the team, you get some pretty incredible swag, and you get early episodes that are ad-free. So a lot of good stuff if you support the show in that way. Speaking of the team that you will support, let's give them a shout out to our producer, Nick Wilson, to our sound editor, Drew Knoll, to our transcriptionist, Becky Reiner, and our marketing consultant, Jessica Burge, and the rest of the Snowco crew. Yeah, I'm so grateful to be working with you all. My friends, this has been another episode of Conversations on Conversations. Thank you so much for your time. And remember, when we can change the conversations we have with ourselves and others, we can change the world. So till next week, please be sure to rest, rehydrate, and I'll see you again soon.